Hello, welcome to Chop Shop Motors. My name is Clay. Today's video is going to be on a project that I haven't really put on the channel before. It's been way in the back burner, and so it's time to move it up. It's not a build per se. It's going to be one of those projects that is actually going to get sold. So if you followed, you can see that I'm thinning out the herd a little bit, and this is another one of the projects that's going to get thinned out. So what I'd like to do is take you along as I go through the process of putting this 55 Ford F100, assembling it together with all the pieces I have that go with it, and kind of watch, you know, it's a pretty quick process. I have most of it. I'm gonna have to source a few parts, but most of it I have, and I'll just take you through what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and kind of explain the thought process behind why I'm doing it to that point and not maybe going farther or restoring it or any of that. And you can just kind of look over my shoulder as I basically piece together a cabin frame into a truck that is a great candidate that to have someone buy and really make a great project out of it. Originally I had bought it to keep, and it wasn't slated to be a flipper, but after acquiring the 32 four-door, to make that happen, some of the projects will have to go, and so I've sold some, and this is another one on the list that will get sold, and that's fine because someone else is going to enjoy it. It's a really solid candidate, and I'll kind of give you a peek behind what makes it tick. So let me put this on the tripod outside where the truck is, and we'll get started. Here is the 55 F100 project that I'm going to put together and put it up for sale. This is Arizona truck. It's got a short bed frame under it, F100. It is titled in my name, really good candidate. Frame rails are straight. It's an F100. I've got the glove box tag for it. The rear end is a roller that is under it just so I could move it around. We're going to swap that out probably in the next week or so. What I'm going to do, some of the order of things I'm going to do is, because the truck, when I bought this truck, it was more or less all apart for the most part, and so I'm going to reassemble the doors, get everything hung, put latches in it, put the hardware in it. It didn't have hardware. It came out of a body shop, and if you've ever bought anything that came out of a body shop, boy, the stuff just walks away. So it had some stuff missing. So we've replaced, I've hunted up some of the parts that were missing, but as you can see, unbelievably solid. It's got some leaves in it, but the floor is nice. No hole in the floor for a shifter. It's got a 3-speed column in it. It does have a clutch pedal, so it was a standard. The doors are wrapped up. I'll pull them out and hang them. They are gorgeous. It's going to need a little work on this A-pillar. Something's happened to it right here. So that will be the new owner's project. It's got a pretty decent hood. It has this side's super nice. So it's got stock suspension and no motor, no trans. I'll put a core support, sail panels, inner fender wells, front fenders. I think I've got a 55 grill for it. We'll see. Never count never count on any of that until it actually materializes. In the back, it's got a big old gnarly rear bumper, which I'll probably just leave it on there for now, just because I mean, it doesn't hurt anything. It's neither a plus or a minus on resale. Bed's pretty decent. Gonna do a little bit of work on it, do a little bit of cleanup. Not very much. Get everything out of it, make sure all the cross members are there. I've got I'm got to install some running board brackets on the other side. I've got a 9-inch for it that I'll put into it. It will still have stock springs and all that stuff. It's still going to have stock front hubs and all that on it, so nothing's getting changed there. I have the floor pans for around the pedals. I have the instrument cluster, rear view mirror, things like that. All right, well, that's enough yammering. I'll start to put it together and show you the progress. Back to the reassembly of this 55 Ford F100, and let's see what kind of progress I've made. So I got some badging on the hood so that looks as it should. As you can see, the hood's on there and kind of just sitting there, kind of hanging there. Hung both doors, got the inside cleaned out, put some door latches, got the hinges in place, had a new striker plate on this side, and basically got the inside of the floor more or less cleaned out. Now today I'm gonna take and clean it out a little bit farther, get it spruced up a little bit more. I've got rebuilt cab struts for the back of the cab that I'm going to put on it, and we'll see if kind of the goal for today is to get this cab completely buttoned up as far as what I'm going to do before I sell it. I've got some door panels I'm going to put on it, things like that, and we'll just keep pecking away at it until this thing's kind of a truck again. So I've got, let me show you some of the small parts I've gathered for it. Small parts wise, I've got the front parking light assemblies. They're super nice. I've got the fascias for them. I've got a couple park light lenses. I've got a rear view mirror, throttle pedal, the rebushing struts. I've got a sun visor. This was a regular standard cap, so it only had one. You can buy the new visor itself, but the arm and stuff I'll put in it. It's got the door plates and some inside door handles, so I have to look. Next piece I'll do is go through my inventory and see what I have for window mechanisms and that kind of stuff, and door actuators. So I want this truck to be as complete as possible. The project is to really take a truck that I had a whole bunch of the parts for and let someone else build the project, and I'm going to keep a single project, but it really is to liquidate inventory and pay for a project that I bought. So that is sort of why I'm going through the work here to actually assemble a complete truck, and not just, because I could sell all the parts separate on eBay and stretch it out. I'd make a lot more money parting it out, but that's not really the way I want to do it, and that doesn't feel right to park a truck like this out. It's a great candidate, and it's going to be an awesome project for someone. All right, I will bring you back after I've made a little progress or show you some of the stuff I'm working on. Thanks. Well, let's look at the progress. So I worked on it for probably, honestly, 4 or 5 hours, and just have really just been putting small pieces on. So hinge plate covers on, door panels on. All the latches and stuff are in. I did not put the window mechanism and the door actuator on the inside because I don't have any of the hardware, and so some of that stuff I'll just supply with the truck. Pretty easy to take account of what's there. Also, I put the throttle in, hardware on the other side, put a rearview mirror, put the sun visor in. So the inside of the cab getting pretty close. I also bolted the cab down, put the cab bolts in the front, put the they're like little trusses for the cab support on the back, put those in. Doors closed. It looks pretty cool now. It's getting there. Truck has a nice set of doors. Cab's in good shape. Go around to the other side. More of the same handles on it. Straightened out running board brackets on the other side. One was kind of tweaked. Straighten that out. Grabbed a pair of running board brackets for this side. So I will get those on. Really hard to tell what you can see because the sun's pretty bright right here. But it's getting closer and closer. Probably the next thing I'll do is pull a tank out and figure out what tank goes with it. Get that ready. I pulled out the brackets, the tank straps, as well as the running board brackets. I'll get those on there and get the tank set up in there. I really just want to assemble a complete truck for whoever buys it so they can tell what they're getting. A lot of us have bought basket case projects where there's boxes of junk and it's supposed to all be there, and it's really hard to tell without doing a full inventory what you're really getting and what's not there. So for me, it's easier to just assemble it, spend the time, and show that it's a really very complete project, show what's missing, so that whoever buys it isn't surprised. The goal is to keep these little things on the road, and this is a good project, so we will get it the rest of the way together here in the next week or two and put it up for sale. Here's the next piece of putting this truck together. I got to build a core support, inner fender wells, and support structure to mount the fenders on. So I've got a bunch of pieces there. I'll start fixing what I've got and putting it together. I'm also gonna pull the bumper off of this truck. I don't have a bumper for this truck, a nice one. This one's got a little bow in it, so I'm gonna put this bumper on the truck I'm selling and straighten it with the Porta Power so it's so it looks nice. And then I think I'll go ahead and let it go with the truck I'm selling, just so that truck's a little more complete. So lots of stuff that I just outlined. I guess I better get at it. Okay, swap the bumper around and got it on the front of the truck. Now if you notice, the corners are pushed in just a little bit. So the next thing I'll do is I'll take the Porta Power and just give it a little bit of pressure on each corner. See if we can get it to pop back to kind of some close proximity to where it was originally. So let me do a little push it. Okay, so what we have here is we have the Porta Power between the main frame and the end of the bumper. And these bumpers are not super tough on the ends here. That's why they're always kind of bent here. So we're going to put a little pressure on it, and then we're going to relieve the metal a little bit. Okay, so what we did was we've expanded it back more or less to where it's supposed to go, and then we've given it some taps to let the memory in the metal kind of go back to where it once was. Otherwise, it would kind of come back to where it was in the bent configuration. Okay, let's see what happens. Right. Okay, that's about all we're going to get out of it for straight, but it's pretty close. Pretty good for a driver. No more whoops in it. It's got a little Yahoo really close to the frame rail on the outside. But I think that's as far as I'm going to take it for this. So let's move on to the next project part of it. So it doesn't happen as fast as you might like, but it is progressing along. So the core support is together. I had to repair a couple broken off bolts to get it to be able to mount, so got that done. Put the wings on the core support and painted the inner fender panels just because they were all kind of in the pile of parts. So the parts are all in really good shape, not rusty, but they are a little crusty. So the goal of this is to make it so someone who is kind of new to the truck project world gets a feel for what they're stepping into and can do a little better assessment of the parts that they are buying. So the grill is nice, the grill set on, it's got parking lights, parking light assemblies. I bought a new lower valence for it, which it looks pretty decent. The fit is it's alright. I mean, if you've ever messed with, this is a Dynacorn lower valence, if you've ever messed with the aftermarket stuff, it's way better than bringing a rusty one back, and I didn't have one, so my options were to keep waiting for a used one, and the used ones are usually a little rough, so you're going to spend 5 or 6 hours bringing it back. So by the time you're all done, you know, the new one was a viable alternative. It's got the bumper on it. The bumper looks good on there. I'd straighten it out. Not sure if I showed it in the last segment. This is over a period of multiple days that I'm putting it together. But the bumper's on it. It looks good. So the valence is on it. The grill's on it. That front valence is going to pull out a little bit this way as the fender goes on, and we'll get the fenders down out of the rafters, and that'll be the next piece. I think one of them needs a little bit of work, but you can start to get the gist. It's looking pretty decent. We'll put some headlights in it just so it doesn't look like it got punched out. Always looks nicer with the lights in it. Get the front fenders on. Pretty happy with the progress to date. I've got some bolts coming for the fenders,
so it'll all be bolted together more or less. And then we'll cruise around to the back, and the next thing we'll do back here after we empty it all out is going to be doing the rear end swap. That 3/4 ton rear end that's under it is just a roller, just so I can move it from one side of the shop to the other. So we'll get that out, and that'll go away, and we'll get a 9-inch under it. We'll get the bed, I'll lift the bed off of it one more time and get the cross members in it and things like that. And there's a couple little pieces to clean up on the inside of the bed, get a tailgate mounted on it, and I mean at that point it'll be ready to see if someone wants to purchase it. So that's kind of the update here. We'll probably end this video and bring you back for part 2 after I get the fender squared away and stuff like that. If you like this kind of content and you like seeing us prep something like this, even though it's for sale, I know we're not building it. If it doesn't sell, we'll build it. But at this point, the idea is to thin out the herd a little bit, pay for some acquisitions we've made. And if you like this content, please like, share, subscribe, hit all the buttons and bells. We love having you follow along. Subscriptions have been increasing for a little channel like us. We're pretty thankful. And this is Clay, Chop Chop Motors. We'll see you on the next project.